Well, hello and welcome to my first look, my first ride of the Suzuki Vstom 1050 XT, the mighty DL 1050. The first thing I'm going to need to do is put some traction control and some ABS on, because she's quite damp. And although this is my first ride video, it's actually my third try recording this video. I've been out riding before, and each time I made some amateur mistakes. Right, we'll go rider mode C, SDMS C. We'll put traction control at maximum, ABS at 2. So this is Suzuki's second iteration, their second attempt, their second go at the leader bike adventure class, and the Vstom has been made to, I think it's about 1035 cc, about 100 horsepower, and it's more of an adventure tourer. It's not a hard-out adventure bike, but then saying that, you can take the rubber out of the pegs, you put some slightly more aggressive tyres on it, and there's probably no reason why you couldn't take it to some more difficult stuff. SDMS, second edition of the Vstom with SDMS or rider modes. Different maps for the throttle, essentially. Quite cool in that it's basic. I mean, look at that screen, one color LCD. Lots of information on there though. Busy when you first look at it, but you kind of get your head around what it's saying. So let's look at the screen. We've got a big round tacho on the left with gear indicator in the middle. Top right is the speed. And under that we've got fuel, odometer, trip meters. At the moment I'm showing range to empty and battery indicator, and below that is how bright I want the display to be. Below that again, time and air temperature. We've got some engine temp over here. This bike, being electronic, also has cruise control, which is my new favourite feature on a bike. I absolutely love it for commuting. This bike is quite nifty. We did a little bit of setup of it in the garage over the weekend. It's a Monday morning now. It comes with an additional set of spacers and bolts to put the seat in a higher position, which I appreciate. I have got the seat in the slightly higher position now. So in the low position, and I'm just under 6 foot, 5'11" or 10 or something, old maths. In the low position, I can flat foot this bike. In the high position, I'm on my toes both sides, or I can flat foot 1 foot, which I'm comfortable with. This is what I do on my bike. It's probably a fraction lower than my bike. The screen up in front of us has 2 height settings, and there's a big clasp on the outside. So you've got to get off the bike to change the screen height. It's just a smidgen low in the high setting. I'd like a wee extender or a slightly taller screen. But these mirrors are absolutely outstanding. Love the mirrors. The bars are in a great place to start with. Alright, so we're in rider C mode, or SDMS C, which just takes the aggressiveness out of that throttle to begin with. And set cruise control so I can talk to you, which is nice. Now, I recently rode the Harley Davidson Pan America, and in rain mode, the Pan America is more retarded than this. But this feels good. It doesn't feel like it takes too much power away from you in rain mode, or in C, rider mode C. So you can still get where you want to go, just probably a little bit safer. Traction controller and ABS haven't been intrusive at this point. We'll see how they go when we come up to a red light down here, down the road a little bit further. It's a windy old morning actually. I can go no hands though with the cruise control, and there's no vibration, no crazy vibration in the bars. Steering with the butt is okay. I mean, it's a little bit difficult because we're, as I said, it's a windy old morning. But yeah, it's not a bad wee bike. It's got a bit of boogie. It can lift the front wheel in first and second, as I found out when you're in aggressive A mode, I should say. But yeah, no, it's good. It's a good bike. Good bike. I put it up on Instagram. I said, "Oh, this is the surprise of the adventure touring market," and people laughed at me. I said, "Well, it's a surprise for me. I didn't expect it to be this good." This auxiliary bar up the front here. It's a nice touch, starting to see that on more and more bikes. What I do like that Suzuki have done though, they've made it out of fatter steel. It's a fatter bar. It's about the same thickness as the actual handlebars here, which means I can use any accessories I would normally put on the bars up there. So I've got my quad lock up on the accessory bar there. No dramas. Phone's attached there. Of course, you would have seen recently Apple saying don't bar mount your iPhones because they're the camera module in them is going to die. I got the old iPhone XR, so I haven't had any problems thus far. But the 11, 12, and probably the 13 that applies to. The bike is just like well thought out. They've done a good job at kind of going, well, what do people actually want? What are people actually going to use? Like everyone wants an auxiliary power socket up the front here, but they've gone, well, Suzuki went, well, we don't want. Why do you want an auxiliary power socket? Oh, you want to charge things by USB? Well, why don't we just put a USB socket up the front there? Ah, good idea. So down under this little cap here, there's a USB-A socket, which is your standard USB socket. You can charge your GoPro or your phone or whatever, maybe a GPS. Then down the back under the pillion seat, there's a cigarette lighter attachment. So if you've got like a 12 volt air pump for your tyres or something and you use that regularly, or you want to be safe if you go out adventure riding, you can still use it. It's great. But up the front there, yay, we've got a power socket which is a USB. I just felt that was a really nice touch. When other bikes in the segment are still putting cigarette lighter attachments up the front, or in some cases nothing. We've got a hydraulic clutch on the left here. I know, crazy place for a clutch to be on the left. And we've got ride-by-wire throttle on the right. It's not a big bike either. I kind of expected it to be big and overbearing. It's easy to sling a leg over. It's not a hard bike to ride. It's got a lot of low-down power. Of course, it's a 90-degree V-twin. And it doesn't like to rev too high. I mean, redline is, 9,000 RPM. I haven't got the exact stats on when it makes the power, but the power's definitely there and definitely usable, reachable. It's not like a jar of cookies and they put them all up on the top shelf. The bike feels nice and nimble. The weight feels good, feels low down enough. I've put a Ventura rack on the back of this bike just so I can carry a bit of gear. There you go, she still gets up and boogies. So she's styled after the old DR Big, the Suzuki DR Big of yesteryear. Very reminiscent also of the current model Katana, which is obviously styled after the old Katana. Square headlight, LEDs all around. Got that little duckbill thing going on. Suspension actually has capability for a normal red-blooded Kiwi male of my weight to ride it. I'm not maxing out the shock or anything like that, which I have done on other bikes. You know, maxing out that spring. Because it's always disappointing when you buy a brand new bike and the first thing you've got to do before you even ride it anywhere is overhaul the suspension. Nah, the suspension on this seems pretty up to the task, to be fair. Tell you what though, we're getting to the point in the year where I think I need to take the thermal layers out of me riding gear. She's getting warm. Keep that rain layer in though, because we're going into a bit of a squall, guys. Woohoo! We'll see how much weather this mighty Vstrom 1050 keeps off me on the old morning commute down State Highway 2 in Wellington, riding from Upper Hutt to Wellington City, going through Lower Hutt at the moment. So this bike comes from the factory with Bridgestone rubber on it, Bridgestone Battle Axe. I think they're A31s. I'll put it up on the screen if I'm wrong. More of a 90-10, 90% on-road, 10% off-road kind of tyre. Definitely just feels like a street bike though, riding around the motorways. I do like cruise control though, this is great. Another thing I do like, it's an electronic bike, it's got rider modes and that sort of jazz, but it's not overly complicated. There's no switches on the bars here that you wouldn't expect. I mean, we've got our high beams over here. On the left, we've got cruise control up and down and mode buttons. That also controls the trip meters and stuff when you're not in cruise control mode. Indicators, horn, cruise control on, off here, hazards, starter. That's it. That's all you get. That's all she wrote. Gee, that's a crazy looking bike. You know, when bikes, so many bikes these days are getting so complicated. I'm a child of the PlayStation generation. As I've said, I'm not afraid of buttons, switches and technology, but I do like it to make sense. And this just does make sense. I mean, sure, it's nice to have a TFT display, full color and, you know, fancy startup graphics, and I'm not gonna say that you don't need it. You don't need it, but you do want it. You do like it. But at the same time, I'm here to ride a bike. I'm not here to play PlayStation. So there you go. That's my first thoughts. My first commute on the Vstrom 1050, the Suzuki DL 1050 XT. A lot of people have said GS on a budget. That's a phrase that I've heard quite regularly recently, in conversations about this bike. And I kind of have to agree. But I don't want to say that because budget has negative connotations. Man, the brakes are good too. That's something I didn't mention. The brakes have brilliant bite. GS on a budget. Yeah? Yeah, probably. This, what do they call it? Orange and white. I think it's more of a red. Colour scheme, I thought was, it didn't look that good when I saw it on the internet, but in person it's growing on me real fast. Yeah, adventure on a budget. If this is budget, then I'm not against it. It's got spoke wheels too, did I mention that? 19 inch on the front, 17 on the rear, real standard. Real standard kind of equipment. You'll get heaps of tyre choice with those sizes. I mean, it's a 19 on the front, which kind of puts it in adventure touring category Where if it was a 21 on the front, you'd put it more adventure, right? But as I said, put some more aggressive tyres on it, and I see no reason why you couldn't do some more technical, tough stuff with it if you're willing to lift it, because it's not a light bike. I haven't got the weight specs on me right this second, but it's not Tenere 700 light. But then it's got an extra 300 cc's plus capacity over the Tenere 400 even, you know. But if you really want a litre bike, do you want to do a bit of gravel, this is probably your toy, Suzuki wise anyway. It's also got the XT model's got a bit of factory engine protection in the way of some crash bars down there. I find that great for attaching cameras, just by the by. Don't intend on dropping this puppy. One downside is that the oil filter is right there behind the rear wheel. They've extended down the wee front fender there, down behind the wheel a little bit further to try and give it some protection, but that oil filter is right there, which does make some people nervous. I've seen people put beer coolers over them. It could be an option for you. Apologies also for the single camera use, single shot on this video here today. Usually I'd have another camera. I'd be spicing things up just a little bit, but I don't really have an excuse. I got lazy. It's not when you're at primary school and they say, "Did you do your homework?" "Oh well, dog ate it, and then nuclear war, and then zombie apocalypse." "All right, Johnny. Did you do it?" "No." It's not savage acceleration, but it's constant and good. It's there. The power is there when you want it. What am I doing? I'm in third, doing 80 k's an hour. No complaints from the bike whatsoever. Set cruise control, 89 k's an hour. Beautiful. So I have said before, this is a first look at this bike. I'm going to be riding this bike this week, to and from work, getting a feel for it. And then this weekend, we're jumping on that boat actually. We're going South Island, New Zealand, top of the south. We're doing the Molesworth Road. I'm going to take this bike and the Harley Davidson Pan America as well. I'm going to put them head to head, see what's what in the adventure touring segment, and how adventure touring stacks up on some gravel. So hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to the podcast, share this podcast with a riding buddy of yours. You can get hold of me, podcast@kiwirider.co.nz's email address, or you can get hold of us Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube as well. Thanks very much for watching. First thoughts on the Suzuki Vstom 1050. This is way better than I thought it was going to be. I like this bike. This is a great bike.